Good evening. This is Haya live on Rendezvous with Haya. I just had a lovely bath and washed my hair and got completely pampered, so I didn't have any desire whatsoever to put some makeup or anything on. And so you see me au naturel, which is great. Give yourself permission to do that, to go out, to meet people, to go out in public, just as you are, without any masks or anything. Sometimes it's really relaxing. So that was me. I hope you are fine. I hope you're having a great evening, that you had a nice day also. And so I'm really excited because I got a few questions from women wanting to know more about sexuality, relationships, radical honesty, and so on. So I think I'll start with one that started out very big, very wide. The question was, is polyamory viable, or can you survive polyamory? Was the question. And for those who don't know what polyamory is having multiple either sexual or romantic relationships at the same time. For some people, it means having a primary relationship, for example, one husband or one wife or one main partner, and then having adventures. And for some people, it really means living a series, 1, 2, 3, 4, depending how well you can manage your diaries, actually, and your emotions, obviously. So having multiple full relationships, complete relationships with different people at the same time, and sometimes at the same place also. So it can take different shapes, and everything is possible, really, because it's only a question of how you can manage your time, your feelings, your emotions, and how well you get along, and how honestly you can communicate, and how well you can resolve the inevitable conflicts that will arise, like in any form of relationships, really. But that's a very, very big topic. And the more we were talking about it, and the more I was asking questions and asking her, so what is actually that you want? And how is it that you are going to add added values to those extra relationships, to those extra connections, as she was saying? How is it that you are actually going to make more love? How are you going to create more love, more loving relationships, more love in the world, and elevate the level of what you want to be and what you want to do in your life by having multiple relationships? Is that what you want? And can you do that? Because I know that's what she wants. She's a very spiritual person, and also a very embodied person. So the more we went, the deeper we went, the clearer it became that what she actually was struggling with was not so much, can I have multiple relationships, or how can I organize my multiple relationships, but how can I actually stay centered and keep my alignment in those encounters that actually don't even have to be sexual per se. They can be encounters, connections of many different kinds. And in her case, she had been seeing someone and enjoying a great conversation, great laughs, and a lot of dancing. And dancing is energetic. It is somehow very much connected to our sexual energy. So you can actually make love while dancing. And that was a big thing for her. That was a big realization for her, that well, there are so many ways to be in relationships and to be sexual, actually, without even having sex. Although, what is having sex nowadays? That's in certain circles, at least, that's a very plausible and a very valid question, because the realm of sexuality has widened so much that we can't really talk about just penetrative sex, for example, or friction sex, as we call it often, as just that being sex and not all the rest around it. So what actually happened is that she appeared to be actually very troubled about all that energy and all that excitement and all that going out of your comfort zone, actually, that was provoked by those connections, those encounters. So what we ended up talking about was that realignment of your head, your heart, your guts, and your sex. Because when you work like me with sexuality and relationships, you have to include your sexual brain too, which is something that is being researched at the moment. There isn't much written about it yet. But we also have a sexual brain. So all of you know about that dichotomy, that dilemma. My head says something and my heart says something else. But then if you add your guts and your sex, and you are able to find harmony, to find this alignment, to find this communication between those four centers, you will know what is good for you. And in the case of that person we were talking about, thank you, Gia, by the way, for sending me that amazing question, or asking that question when you saw me. It's about finding enough peace and enough space on your own to be able to listen and to link those centers. So if you listen, if you are connected to yourself, to your head, to your heart, to your guts, and to your sex, and if you ask a question, should I see that person? Should I be involved with that person? Is that going to be beneficial for me, for my relationships, for my life? You will get an answer. You will get a very, very precise answer. Or you might get different answers because your sex is going to say something different than your heart. Your heart might be a little bit shy about having an extra relationship, and your sex will go, no, I want it. I really want that sex. I want that excitement. And the art of this alignment, of this balance in ourselves, is the conversation, is to open and clear and honest conversation with those brains, with our different brains, and see how you can deal with that, how actually they can become more attuned with each other and have a conversation instead of a fight, which is going out of the duality, really, of head and heart, or in this case, head, heart, guts, and sex, instead of being split, to bring them together and work together for you. Instead of creating confusion, they will create unison, harmony. So that is obviously a practice. But just think about it and just open those centers. Become curious, become more attentive and more present to those brains of yours. And you will see that the answers and the decision making will become much easier. And about talking and about clear and honest communication, I had a question from Sarah, or I believe at least, I'm not sure it was a question or just an interest in radical honest communication. And if there is one book I can really recommend, I will show it to you in a minute, and you will see that it's quite old and I have read it quite a few times. So it's conscious loving, the journey to co-commitment, a way to be fully together without giving up yourself, by Gary and Kathleen Hendricks. It was written in the 90s. I think there is a re-edition, a newer one, but whatever you can get your hands on. It's just a fabulous, very, very accessible book about what it means to open yourself and your relationship with to co-committed, radically honest communication, which includes Marshall Rosenberg's nonviolent communication, but goes actually much deeper, in the sense that you have to be honest with yourself. So you have to go to the bottom of how you feel and how you can communicate this in the most honest and loving way. Actually, thank you, Sarah, for this question or reminder, but it's always a good thing to talk about it. And I also got a lot of questions again about the Women's Sexuality Circle. Lots of questions, really, and that's great. I love that. I love receiving all those questions, because it shows that there's a lot of interest, and also, of course, that these questions need to be answered in order for you, for the women, to come and join us to the Women's Sexuality Circle. So what are they? The question was, I'm still not clear about what is it exactly. And my answer to that is that exactly I can't tell you, because it has a life. They have a life on their own. Every circle is different. So depending on the women that will be present, and the energy that will be present, and my inspiration and our inspiration, because it's a co-creation, the circles would be different. However, I can certainly tell you that we do meditate. We do get in touch with the different aspects of our bodies, our physical bodies, our energetical bodies, our spiritual bodies, but also our pleasure bodies, which is something that we don't usually know about, and that is our body that can access our pleasure and our comfort, instead of being focused on tension and problems and pain. We go to the sister body, which is the body of pleasure and of comfort, which is quite an amazing place. We also talk with each other, we listen to each other, we share what it is that we have to share on that night, or sometimes we share experiences and ideas and memories that we have for a long time, that we have had for a long time, and that we were never able to share. But in that particular safe and nourishing and welcoming space that the Women's Sexuality Circles are, those come to the surface. Another question was, is there healing? Do we do healing in the circles? Well, we don't do healing as such, although sometimes we will work with conscious touch and with healing our energies. But what actually happens is that through creating a safe space and a space where everybody and everything is welcome, and where we get in touch with our authenticity, healing happens very often, very deeply, very powerful and very deep healing can happen, usually happens, that is true. But it doesn't mean that we are doing a particular technique or doing something in particular for it to happen. Most of the time it is the sheer fact of being women, being together, feeling safe and opening up together, and that's really a key factor, being together and supporting each other in our journey, that makes the healing happen, that it creates a magical field where healing can happen. Let's see. Yes. Is it confidential? Absolutely. Absolutely. That is part of the safety of the circle, is that it is confidential. And that is also why I do not give too many details about what it is exactly that we're doing. So I will tell you that we meditate, I will tell you that we work on our body, that we strengthen our body through Taoist and Tantric practices, through breath, through movement, sometimes through touch, but to respect confidentiality and the safety of those groups, I will not reveal more than that, actually. Are women sexual at the circle, and do you have to be naked? And very often I hear I'm a bit wary about things that I might not want to do and be asked to do. Well, those circles are called sexuality, women's sexuality circle, because we include our sexual energy in the space. That doesn't mean that, well, actually, yes, we are being sexual because we are alive and we are cultivating our aliveness and our sexual energy, but we don't engage in sexual acts. And I think that is what some women are a bit weary about. So that is not what we are doing at all. We are talking about sexuality, we are cultivating our own sexuality, and we can play with our sexual energy with each other, but we are not engaged in any form of sexual acts. We're not having sex at all in those circles. And I really appreciate this question, because of course it's an important one. So for those who wanted to have sex, that's not happening, and for those who didn't want to have sex, that's not happening either. So thank you for that question. Now, regarding will you have to do things that you don't want to if you're not ready, or just because you don't want to? Absolutely not. No, it is a safe space, and it is, again, a co-created space. So everything I will suggest are invitations, and everything will be discussed and agreed upon in the group. At the beginning of the group, we set the boundaries and we set the agreement for the group. Confidentiality is one of the major ones, but nakedness, for example, is another one. And if some women feel they would like to get naked, that is a possibility. If some women don't want to get naked, it's obviously another possibility. And if some people feel uncomfortable about one or the other, we talk about it, as women do. We talk about it and we find the best solution for everyone to keep that safety and that openness and that harmony that we strive to create in the Women's Sexuality Circle. On the practical side, it's on the 4th Thursday of every month in Canterbury at the Holistic Centre at 6:30. You will find all the info and the details with the address and the way to book your place on Women's Sexuality Kent webpage. There's an event for every circles, I think until the end of the year, this year. And you're always welcome to contact me personally if you have more questions or if you want to book or for anything really. Yeah, I completely forgot to say what I'm doing. I am a body-oriented integrative sex therapist, and I work in Kent in the UK with women only in the therapeutic space and with everyone when I give workshops about boundaries, consent, and touch. I also work with couples of every possible configurations, and I enjoy it immensely. So please come and join me next week, every Wednesday, Rendezvous with Haya at 8 o'clock UK time on Women's Sexuality page. Do send me your questions in a private message or as a comment on the week's event, and it's always a pleasure for me to answer them and to be in contact with you and to create a community of evolved, well sexy and well in their skin women. Thanks a lot and see you later. Bye bye.